So hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'd like to take a quick second to thank those of y'all that have subscribed. It really means a lot to me. Kind of floored by it, kind of humbled by it, but thank you. Today what we're going to do, if you found this video, that means that you're having problems with your little Dodge truck like I am. What's happened is, I'll describe it to you. I will be, when I first started up, the power steering seems to be okay. As I start driving it, the power steering goes away if I'm idling, like at a stop. So if I rev it up a little bit, the power steering comes back. I've got a sneaky suspicion it's going to end up being the pump, so I'm going to go ahead and change it out. So we'll see if it works. So come along with me as I do this swap, and I'll show you some of the stuff I bought for it real quick. So right here, I bought this at O'Reilly. It was $125, and I opted for the brand new pump. They all seem to coming from the same manufacturer, A1 Cardone. They make new ones, they make rebuilt ones. I'm hoping for some good luck with the brand new ones, so try it. Along with that, I got some ATF plus 4. Dodge calls for ATF plus 4 in their transmission and in their power steering. So I got a couple of quarts of cheaper stuff to initialize the flushing of it, because I'm going to need to flush it out just in case there's some metal particles in it. And then I'll refill the whole thing with a Valvoline ATF plus 4. Alright, so down here is the pump, right here is the reservoir. It looks like what I'd have to do to get it out of here would come out this one spot right here. This hose could probably come off and get out of the way. Okay, so looking at the bottom down here, it's a tight fit here too. This rigid line's in the way. Flexes a little bit. It would have to come out right through here. The fan here is kind of in the way. Somebody talked about it coming out through this area. The power steering gearbox is kind of in the way. That'd be a tight fit coming out of here. I think I'm gonna try to get it out of the top. Alright, so I think I'm gonna try to take it out of the top. I'm gonna get this hose out of the way. Then I'm going to drain the fluid out from the bottom. I'll show you how that's done as well. Alright, so I took the inner fender well out of this so I could have access to the side in here. And I think what I'm going to try to do first is I'm going to try to get it out through this opening here, if some of this stuff will slide enough out of the way. So the first thing I got to do here is I need to drain it and get this fluid out of it. Here's the return hose, and then the pressure hose is just on the bottom side underneath there. We'll try not to make too big of a mess here. So to drain this out, well, I put a piece of 5/8 scrap hose that I had, put it on the return that's on the bottom of this reservoir, that's where it goes back in. And right here is the hose that went up into it, and I put just another piece of scrap with a nipple right there hooked onto it. So what I'll do is I'll plug this off on the new one. I'll fill the reservoir up with fluid, I'll start the truck up, and I'll flush it out by letting the excess return go into this bucket right down here. This pressure hose is a bigger bear to get to. It's an 18 millimeter. Okay, so here's the pulley right here, and there's 3 bolts that hold that pump, and there's access through this pulley. There's no room to be able to see it, but there's access through the pulley to the bolts that hold the pump in place. Once I get those off, this pump will come right out. Alright, so I've showed this puller in a couple of different videos, or another video I have, but I'll show you how to put it together. This collar right here, they have a small one and a big one. This is going to take the smaller one around this. So it's going to go like this, and that's going to go over to keep it from spreading out. Wrong pump. Alright, so I noticed when I went to go put the pulley on here that it's the wrong size, and I went back online and looked it up again, and there's two different ones that can be on this truck. The back on this one bolts on. The back on this one has a snap ring in it. So if you're going to replace yours, mine's a 2003, so evidently it could have had either one. So I'm going to have to go back up there. It's considerably more expensive for the new one. This one was $130. This top is $175. So go back up to the parts house and get the right one. Alright, let's see what we got here now. Here's with the pressure hose O-ring. Yep, that looks like it. Bolt on back. We'll go ahead and run some carburetor cleaner through the grooves. Make sure they're good and clean. And here's how they go back on. You don't hammer them on. Well, I guess you could. It would ruin the pump. Alright, so it's the thread this into the shaft, and then you'll tighten this outer nut down and it pushes it on. Go down there pretty good ways. Otherwise you'll pull the threads out. And then this one, I noticed on the old one it was flush with the shaft on there, so we'll tighten it all the way down until it stops. now and then to see what's up. I've got just a little bit more to go. There was solid. Like that. Go ahead and put that new O-ring on. Super careful not to cross thread that. You gotta wiggle it around, move it, ease it in. And when you get done putting the belt on, double check every single pulley, all of them, to make sure that it's sitting within the grooves of the pulley itself. I've seen these put on where they were off one groove to the outside, and it'll work for a little while, but in a pretty short time it'll just cut the belt, and you've got to get a new belt for it. So So what I have here is I've blocked off the return on the reservoir so nothing can be returned. I put the return into this bucket down here. So I'll start it up, keep the reservoir full, maintain a full reservoir as I flush out old fluid, contaminated fluid. So here we go. Better rolling out of there fast. Yeah, less than 5 seconds. So we'll start it for 3 seconds now. Yeah, it was 2 seconds. All right, I'm not going to put this inner fender well on yet. I'm going to go ahead and top it off with fluid, get the fluid level right, and then I'm going to spray some degreaser up in here, kind of clean this whole area out, spray it all off. Then I'll put that inner fender well on and we'll be done. Well, all right, guys, I got it all done. It was a pretty good job. Scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it probably a 6. Well, first off, I'd like to say that it fixed the problem. Power steering works one finger just like it used to, so that pump was just wore out. Some of the things I'd like to tell you that worked for me on this particular swap. One thing that didn't work is hot outside today. So some of the things that did work on this thing, taking that inner fender well off on this side, you really had a ton of access to get in there and do stuff. It was necessary for sure. Number 2, taking that upper hose off, even though you lose a little coolant, you got plenty of access to get it right out the top. I didn't see any way how to get it out the bottom like some of what I read. So I think I ended up using probably 6 or 7 quarts of ATF plus 4, and that is the recommended fluid for your Dodge. Don't put regular power steering fluid in. Just go to Walmart or O'Reilly or somebody and buy that ATF plus 4. The pump does not make any noise. It's perfectly quiet. And you know what? The pump that wasn't working before, it wasn't making any noise either. So take that for what it's worth. But it sure did start getting worse and worse, and it finally wouldn't work at all at idle. But let me show you real quick how easy it is. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for stopping by. I hope this helps you on any power steering problem that you might have with your Dodge. And if you like this kind of content, hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell on the bottom. We sure do thank you. And we'll see you next time on Steve's Restorations.